Welcome to the show, Leroy.
Thank you. Thank you, Des. So pleased to be here today.
So how do I introduce you? You got 12 years experience in counselling, 25 years in youth work, 10 years management experience, MBACP. What does that mean?
When I qualified, I joined the British Association of Counselling Psychotherapy, BACP, and because I was a member of there, that's what that probably means.
And just through conversation, 37 years married to a lady that everybody knows. Okay, you can mention that yourself when you're ready. And I met him at an event called Stronger Than Before. The message that this man delivered was absolutely powerful. It was one of them moments where I didn't want him to finish because what he was talking about was so impactful. And on the actual day of the event, he stood out by far. How long ago was it?
I'm looking at some pictures and there was still the Christmas decorations around. So it was probably November, December of last year, I think.
It was. Yeah. Wow. We've been trying to get this done for that amount of time.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
We're here now. Yeah. God's timing is perfect.
Absolutely. Every time. Just give us a little background about your childhood and your upbringing to date, and then we can go into the subject that we spoke before the event. I really want you to deep dive into what you discussed at Stronger Than.
Okay. My background, I don't like to tell people this. I'll tell you guys. I was born here. Parents are from Antigua. One of the most beautiful islands in the Caribbean, 365 beaches, one for each day of the year. So I love my Antigua. And more often than not, wish I could spend more time there, but I'm here. I had 7 siblings. There are 3 girls, and there was 5 boys, but one of us died. One of my brothers died a few years back, suddenly. Brought up in Hackney, East London. Always lived in East London. Now I live in Waltham Forest. Married to a wonderful woman. Some of you may know her. She sang Lovers Rock. Sandra Reid is her name.
Okay.
We have 3 beautiful girls together and 2 grandchildren. We are both retired now, which is great. We used to have lots of time, but we do counselling. We offer counselling services 3 days a week, Monday through Wednesday. And on a Friday, we have the tiring pleasure of looking after our grandchildren because they can't go to nursery on the Friday. So it is joyous to be able to see your grandchildren at least once a week. So it's great. It's tiring, but we're not spring chickens anymore. But it helps out our daughter, so we do it.
So tell me, what's your secret to 37 years of marriage?
God and compromise.
I make notes while I do these, right? And that there, I have to take a note on that one. Yeah. Hold on, Robert. God and compromise. Expand on compromise for me, please, sir.
2 people coming into a relationship from 2 different backgrounds. Histories are different, baggages are different. And so if we are to work together, we can't get stuck in what we know. So something has to give if you want the relationship to work, and something has to give on both sides if you want the relationship to work. My wife and I, Sandra and I, are 2 completely different people in terms of I'm very laid back and she is very organized. And on paper, we shouldn't get on, but we do.
And that always the way.
And that's simply because God is in the middle of this. And once you make those vows before God and your family and friends, it's almost like the relationship you have with God in terms of you make a covenant to serve him. And it's not, and the covenant is something that you shouldn't easily break. The marriage vow is also a covenant, and it's not something that you should break. And so somebody or both of you have to give a little and work things out, communicate, talk things through. And that's what we've done.
Love that, man.
37 years, yes, there's still differences, but we're not going anywhere. So we have to live with each other as we are. We don't do anything to hurt each other, and everything we do is in love, because God, that's what God commands us to do.
Words of wisdom, man. Yeah. Words of wisdom. God and compromise. I've been married for 29 years. It's our 30th marriage next year. And when you say God and compromise, the compromise part of it is massive, because I realize you can't be so fixed in your way of doing things, in your mindset, and not allowing your partner to express themselves. Is so important, because otherwise you can build a relationship that's not sustainable, because that person doesn't need you to be all encompassing in that way. That's what I found. And there's a whole lot of compromise. I get that. I totally get that. A whole lot of compromise. Compromising your beliefs, compromising what you want to do yourself. You got to allow the other person to be themselves.
Yes. I used to play badminton till I got injured, and I can't play that no more, which is sad. I love to read. I love to walk. I still walk and cycle. I love my space, my own space. I have where I am now is an office which we had built when we moved here in 2021. And this is my space in terms of everything that is in it belongs to me. And so when I need to get away from the family or talk to you guys or do or my counseling, I come here. I also, in terms of my own mental well-being, like I said, I go for walks and cycle, come into my office, but I also I buy Lego Star Wars primarily and build, but it just relaxes the mind. That's how I kind of keep my own mental health strong, by doing the things that I enjoy doing. And I think that all men, no matter what you're doing, find something that you enjoy and do it. Even though I'm okay, I still need space away from the family. And we all need a space where it's just you and God, you and your Lego, you and your whatever. But somewhere where it's just you, that you can have some time for yourself. The family is important, and you need to spend time with them so that you can develop a relationship with them. But you also need to top up yourself, because as men, we are givers. And so if we are to give, we can't give from an empty cup. So top yourselves up, then you can give to your children, your wife, and whoever.
It's interesting you say that, because I was talking to someone recently. He's part of a men's group, and he says that what they do is they all gather together and they do exercises, like you said, Legos. They make stuff and do stuff together, as a group. And I didn't realize how much therapy is actually, well, I don't use the word therapy, but how soothing that is to your soul, being able to relax in that way. And like I said, take yourself away from, whatever it is you're around at that time as well. So it's kind of interesting you say that. How would you look at that in terms of a man's mental health How important is that?
I find it very important. And for the simple reason, it allows me to, I want to use the word disconnect, but it allows me to clear my mind from what's going on in the house or with my family. So it just gives me space to think about me, to be me for an hour, 2 hours, or whatever. As I said, if I am full and if I have clarity of mind, when I go back into the house, then I can engage with the family on a level. You know, I'm not upset about anything. I am not worried about anything. What I am clear about what I need to be clear about.
Yeah.
You know, if you work, you're spending, let's say, 8 hours a day at work. So you're thinking about work. You're thinking, and you're having to do that. So coming home, you need to. Oh, somebody used a beautiful word the other day, and I can't remember what it was. But you need to kind of clear out all of that stuff. Clear out work and focus on you and the family. So spend time decluttering work, and then you can engage with the family more fully. I'm fortunate in that I've also got a group of men that I have had for 20, 25 years.
Right.
Who I meet with once a month. And as your platform here is about Man Talk, Real Talk, that's what we do for 20, 25 years. We recognize that we're all married, we all have children, and we need the space where we can just be men, you know, and not have to worry about our P's and Q's, so we share what's going on in our home. We share what's going on. Even in our sex lives, we should talk about that as well, because we recognize that more often than not, we sit there as men on our own and bottle things up, you know. And going back to a bit of my history, that I was sexually abused as a child. And for 30 years after that, I told nobody.
Right.
I spent those 30 years in pain, but nobody would know. And that pain often came out in a horrible way in terms of anger and frustration. And it would come out in anger, especially at the wrong people and at the wrong time. The reason why I was angry is because I had all this pain and didn't know what to do with it. Was unclear how to process it all, and so kept it in. And again, thinking that I was the only one that had gone through this process. And it wasn't until years later that I was speaking to some friends from primary school that at least one other person revealed that they had gone through something similar. Again, that kind of confirmed to me that I'm not alone. Whatever I have been through, my problem was at the time, and her problem was at the time also, was that we didn't tell anybody because we were afraid. And as a man, being sexually abused was a taboo. And how would my friends, especially my male friends from school, college, university, how would they see me if I had told them what had gone on?
Right.
And so I lived with that pain for too long. And I must admit, I met Sandra and for whatever reason felt that I couldn't contain that anymore. And so I told her, and to be honest, I think one of the first people I told when I was in university, because I went to university late, I was having a tutorial with my tutor and told him for some unknown reason. And that was kind of one of the first times that I had said it. and then went back and told my siblings about what had gone on. And on one hand, I'm glad that it happened then, only because my siblings they couldn't handle it in terms of they were younger than me. And so from where I sat, they handled it in the wrong way. They got angry, and I didn't want them to get angry, but I didn't know what to expect. As time has gone on, I've began to talk about it more and don't feel ashamed about it. It happened. I move on. One of the things that I also did was try and find a counsellor to talk to.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't a counsellor that looked like me.
Right.
So I ended up with this white counsellor who took no time whatsoever to know me. And so sadly, sadly, it's an interesting one. So I would say sadly, I wasted 2 years, but I think that it's not, if I look at those 2 years and where I am now and how that has shaped me as a counsellor, it wasn't wasted. And I constantly remember God saying that everything that we go through for a purpose, and it's not wasted. So the 2 years that I spent with this counsellor helped me to become the counsellor I am today.
Oh, yeah, that's brilliant.
And through not being able to find a counsellor that looked like me, I decided to become the counsellor, the person that I needed, primarily to be able to help other Black men who, for whatever reason, for whatever help they needed. Fortunately enough, my church was looking for counsellors, and they sent us on some training courses. And I went on, and the rest is history, so to speak.
What you're saying there is, I guess there's a lot of men that have gone through similar pains. The only way they can express it is through anger.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, how do most men react to something like that? Apart from the anger, what kind of other emotions did you experience that had an impact on your life? Be it negative or be it positive, what other areas were there?
I think that before I met Sandra, I had 2 other relationships and fathered two boys.
Right.
And I think for me, sadly, I was too young in terms of, I got married at 22 and fathered the child, and I had fathered my first child in 1977, but didn't know how to be a father, didn't know how to be a husband or a partner. And so those relationships fell apart. And with those relationships falling apart, the relationships with my sons also fell apart. The impact of my sexual abuse, and again, listening to one of your podcasts about fathers being in the home, whilst my stepfather was in the home, he wasn't a father. And so not having a role model, how would I then be a husband or a father, my partners at the time and my boys? For me, not having a male role model around and the sexual abuse didn't leave me in a place to be able to be a partner and a dad. For me, that has had a negative impact on the raising of those 2 boys.
I can see that, because in that episode where we spoke about fathers can be emotionally detached and absent from the relationship. But there's always a root to something. There's always a cause, you know. And the fact that you're saying about this situation that you were in how impactful it was on your life. You counsel men. So
Yeah.
talk to me a bit more about what kind of issues that you see men facing, why they come to you for counseling.
Men come to counseling for a number of different reasons.
Yeah.
My role is to figure out the real reason why they have come to counseling.
Right.
And so the good thing about the service that I provide, it's not a service where I offer you 10 sessions and then move on. I will work with you for however long it takes.
That's brilliant.
Or for you to trust me as your counselor, we need to build a relationship. And so I will sit with you for as long as it takes for you to be able to trust me and tell me what is going on. You know, so you come to me because you're depressed. You come to me because your marriage is falling apart. You come to me because work is giving you stress and so on and so forth. You come to me because you have, anxiety about X, Y, and Z. However, what are the underlying issues? My stepfather, for argument's sake, I looked at him at the time, I was a young kid, and saw somebody who drank a lot and smoked a lot, stayed out a lot, and was abusive to my mother. As I got older, I looked at society and looked at how the area or the time that he was growing up in terms of coming from Antigua to London, the racism that he had to suffer. And so his way of coping was to drink, to gamble, to be abusive. And that's how he coped. So, the surface stuff you can see. So you can see the alcohol, you can see the smoking, you can see the abusiveness. But at the time, I couldn't see what was going on underneath.
Right.
When Black men come to me now, I see the depression, I see the anger, I see the anxiety, I see whatever. What's going on underneath to bring you to this point? Some come because they are told that they have to come by either the pastor of their church, a friend, their family, or their wife. They can see that there's something wrong. We as men, more often than not, don't see what they see. And so we come to counseling reluctantly.
Right.
But it's not until they start talking, we start delving into what's going on for them, then they kind of get to a place where they realize, okay, there's something else going on here. Let's talk this out. But the difficult thing is to get men at the table in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think that this platform will help men to get to the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
The message has got to be constant. It's, and so having different people coming on, telling their stories from different perspective means that it will cover a wide base. And so men will hear and respond.
Brilliant. That's excellent. That's why we created this platform. It's purely for that reason. So we can have these meaningful conversations and be able to do something, have an impact. I always say this is, we're looking for that one person. We can't help everybody, but we can help one. And that one person could be the trigger that changes the lives of many, many others. So these conversations are important. I have a question on that same subject. How long does it take a man to open up when they come to see you, roughly? How does that work?
I see men, depending on their needs, I either see them weekly or fortnightly. So it could take about 2-3 sessions.
Right.
In all honesty, I think what I have realized, and they have told me this, is that the way that I approach, the way that I speak to them makes them feel at ease.
Yeah.
And so the easier they feel, the more comfortable they feel, the more likely they are to open up. You know, I don't have the answers. You know, I walk alongside you in your journey. So, you know, we sit together and we explore what's going on for you, why it's gone on for you. So we will delve back into your history, your, you know, where you grew up, your relationship with your parents or your primary carers, your siblings, whoever. We will explore all of that. That gives them some insight into their behavior and why they are the way they are. So it could take 3 sessions, it could take 4, it could take 5 or 6. It really depends on you as a man and how you feel coming to a counsellor.
So from your experience then, what are the main reasons why men don't want to talk initially?
It's fear that they will be seen in a different light.
Yep.
They have been taught that men don't talk about their feelings. They have been taught that men don't cry. We have been taught that men are strong. And so, you know, we're supposed to suck it up and move on. You know, and I remember being at school, and as a child, the old saying, "Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me."
Yeah.
Which is the biggest lie known to mankind. Words hurt, and they stay a lot longer. You know, you break your bones, within 6 weeks or so, they're healed and you move on. Words stay with you for a long time. You know, I remember my teachers back in the 70s telling me and other black kids that we were not going to achieve, that we needed to go back to the jungle and all this sort of stuff. And this was in school, you know. And so these words stuck with a lot of us. And so, you know, I think through God, some of us have been able to let go of them. But if you don't have God, you're holding on to the pain, the agony of some of those words. And so it's difficult to move on from. You know, so find God. Find God. He will help you heal the pain that you're suffering. And we've said it before, we can't do this on our own.
No,
we were never
absolutely
meant
not.
to do it on our own.
We discussed this earlier, that by doing things alone, it's going to help us, but it actually makes things worse.
Yeah.
You know, and I call it pressure cooker effect. So the more that we keep things in, the more it starts to cook.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the more it cooks, the more crazy reactions we make to certain situations. And then it keeps cooking, it keeps cooking, it keeps cooking. And then all sorts of things start to happen until you release that pressure. And then when you release that pressure now, things start to settle down. And I believe your role is so important to a lot of men because they're coming to you to release that pressure and to be able to just relax and just find some form of peace, man, you know, where they're able to, on a level, solve certain situations.
Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting watching men in a counselling room in terms of how they come in to how they leave after one session.
Yeah.
They come in and it's almost like, as you say, the pressure cooker, the lid is still on. And as the session goes on, slowly but surely, some of the pressure is released. And so it almost feels like they're a lot lighter when they leave as to when they come in. And that's great to see. And I wish that more men could come in and release the pressure that they're sitting under. How do we get the message out there that you need to talk? If not to me as a counsellor, find a good friend who you trust and just talk.
Mm.
Like I was saying, the friends I meet with once a month, at one stage it was just the two of us. We used to get in a car, go to KFC, buy some food, sit in the car, and before we knew it, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, just sitting there chatting.
Yeah.
And my pressure cooker, for me anyway, I wasn't holding anything in. So by the time I left him and he left me, we were both as light as feathers. We could go back to our homes and be happy.
Yeah.
So we need to talk. It helps.
Absolutely. Just a quick question then. Yeah. For a man who has been married for 37 years, okay, along these lines now, how important is it to have a lady that you can speak to as well?
Oh, it's very important. It's very important. I think I look at my wife, Sandra, as a counsellor. Sometimes I think that when I talk to her, she's trying to counsel me. So I have to remind her.
No.
Yeah, I'm not one of the clients. But I think that in terms of communication, in marriage, you've got to keep the lines of communication open. You've got to talk, or you have two people sitting in a room and not talking to each other. What's the point?
You've hit a very important point. We're in an age now where couples in particular, you go to a restaurant and you see couples and they're supposed to be at a restaurant to talk. And then what do you see? They're sitting, there's a pool and they're sitting on their phones. And then you think, what's the point of, you're supposed to be here to communicate?
Yep.
I
was with Sandra. It was her birthday and we were looking at other people, some of them with kids, but some of them on their own, but with phones, kids with tablets and parents on their phones. And I know that technology is such that, people are addicted to their phones now. However, the art of conversation has disappeared.
Thank you, brother. Yep. Absolutely right.
We are fortunate in our household, when we're sitting down to dinner, there's no phones at the table.
Absolutely. That's what we do. That's what we do. That's a rule. No phones.
No phones at the table. You don't need it. When we go out to a meal, again, no phones.
Yep.
If
Same
we are
thing.
Together, why do we need a phone?
Exactly.
Put it in your pocket, put it in your bag. Let's talk.
Absolutely.
It's sad. It is sad to see people not communicating. And if you go to Westfields on any given day and go up to the food court, a plethora of people sitting there eating a meal. And more often than not, they're on their phones. And it just irritates me no end. And I often wish that when I was working for a school, they used to take the phones off of the kids in the morning, put it in the bag, and at the end of the day, give it back to them. And I wish I could take their phones off of people when they go to a restaurant, put it in the bag, and when they're going home, there's your phone.
That is so needed. It's so needed.
Communication is the key to any good relationship. Got to talk.
In your relationship, a man that's been married for 37 years, what kind of things do you communicate with your wife about? But then what impact does that have with some of the men that you counsel and you see at the same time?
We talk about the things around the house in terms of, the mundane things that we have to talk about. We talk about in terms of the children, in terms of, we've got a 15-year-old who we need to talk about. She's autistic, and so that brings its own complications.
Right.
We have grandchildren that we are raising as well as, looking after. But we also talk about what are the things that we want to do in life. You know,
Right.
we're in our 60s, and so what are the things that we want to do? We both love to holiday, so we look at planning holidays. Where do we want to go, and so on and so forth. My wife she's got family in America, and so we talk about them in terms of visiting them. We talk about the relationships that we have with our own siblings because they are fractured, and how do we manage those relationships. We talk about her music in terms of how that she wants to develop that. And we talk about what are the things that she wants to do. You know, so, you know, she wants to develop her music. She's happy in one sense that we are retired and that we spend more time together. And one of the things that I note that we both like very different programs. So Sandra will sit in the living room and watch Bridgerton and those period dramas.
Yeah.
I can't stand them. Great thing is that she will go to the movies on her own to watch those movies. And that's fine. I'll go to the movies to watch either DC or Marvel or something along those.
All right.
Star Trek, Star Wars, and she'll come along and watch those with me. So we talk about the things that we like and don't like, and recognize that because we are so different in terms of what our likes and dislikes, they don't really have an impact on how we interact with each other. We both recognize what we like and what we don't like, and we're happy with what we like and what we don't like. You know, we are who we are. We're not so tied together that we have to do everything together. There has to be separation so that you can be the woman that you need to be, and I can be the man I need to be.
100%, man.
So we come together for the important things.
Do you find then when you're speaking with some men that line of communication that they have with their partners is not there, and as a result of it, it can have, well, I'm going to kind of relate it in this way. You know, the typical scenario, a man comes home from work, he gets his dinner, sits down at the table, gets his dinner. How's your day been? Yeah, it's all right. Beneath that, yeah, it's all right. You know where it's going, right? Yeah. There's no line of communication, but beneath that, yeah, it's all right. There's a whole lot of other things that are going on that have not been discussed. And when you talk about communication, lines of communication, there's a whole lot of things that could be communicated, which is why I asked you the question, because you're communicating that with your wife. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If they're not married, if they've got a friend or someone that they might not even be communicating that with their friends. No. You know, there was something I saw on Instagram. This man that turned up to football with a friend, and his friend said to him, "How you doing?" He says, "Yeah, I'm all right." And then you could see it sort of a build up happening. Long story short, you didn't see that guy anymore, and that guy took his life. It's a real scenario. Because nobody or he didn't want to open himself up to speak to other people in order to find solutions to that situation. That's why I asked you the question, really. So if you want to elaborate on that again, I think that's quite key with what we're discussing right now.
You come home from work, and the likelihood is that things have gone off at work and you're stressed and you're angry and so on and so forth. So what tends to happen, what has happened, you come home from work, all you want is to sit down and mind your own business.
Yeah.
However, the problem with that is that all of the stuff that's gone on at work is still here. Nobody knows, your wife doesn't know, your partner doesn't know what nonsense you have gone through for that day.
Yeah.
So you come home, have your dinner, sit in front of the TV, more often than not, sit in front of the TV and fall asleep, then eventually go to your bed. You get up in the morning, go back to work, and the same thing happens over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Your partner is supposed to be there to help and support you as you are to support her.
Mm-hmm.
That means anything that is going on for you, you should share with her.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you feel that you can't, for whatever reason, find somebody that you can. Do not, as you say, do not bottle it up and so it becomes that pressure cooker scenario.
Mm.
The scenario that you said, that you mentioned about asking the guy if he was all right and then suddenly him disappearing because he committed suicide, that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because you haven't spoken to anybody, because you feel that you are all alone, you feel that there is no way out of your situation. There is a way out of your situation. It is simple as opening your mouth and talking to somebody.
Yeah.
You may not want them to solve it, but you want somebody to know so that you do not bottle things up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Once that lid comes off, if you haven't shared, then there's an explosion.
Mm.
That explosion can be dangerous to those around you and to yourself. So if you had a Monday at work, you come home, you tell your wife what's gone on. She's there for you. If she's not, find somebody else that you can talk to. Find another guy.
Mm.
Don't find another woman that could lead down the road that you don't want it to lead to.
Yes, indeed.
So find a guy that you can talk to.
Mm.
Yeah. I went to a church, to a men's group, to talk about counseling and men coming together. And one of the first things that they said to me, why would us as men talk to another guy about the problems that we're going through? The problem is you're not talking to anybody. By not talking to anybody means you're bottling things up. And I think even in church, the sad thing about church in one sense is that you feel that it's as simple as praying to God and that's it. It's not that simple. Yes, God wants for you to talk, give all your cares to him. However, he has put you on this earth with other people to be able to talk to other people. So as well as talking to God about them, talk to other men, talk to your wife, but talk to somebody. Even if it's your brother, your sister, talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Don't bottle things up.
Absolutely. I remember I went through a period of time in my life and it was that network of people I was able to communicate with, be it brother, sister, best friends, and so on. But it was that network of people able to just vent, just speak. Like you said, just speak, just let the thing out and just speak about what's going on. And just it is the release in doing that is so powerful. And you realize, you know what? They say that expression, better out than in, right? Well, I realized that it was better out than in because if you keep internalizing it, it just has such a negative impact on you, man. I'm really glad that you're able to sort of be so transparent in what you're saying because I know that there's going to be men listening in that are going to relate and be able to do something about it.
Yeah, I hope so. I think that we have far too long kept everything under the blanket. Let's tear the blanket off and expose everything.
That's brilliant, man. Brother, I'll tell you, this has been so good having someone like yourself on to be able to bring a bit of normality to a situation where most men don't see it that way, but this should be the norm, where we're able to come and just communicate and just share our thoughts and be able to express them in a way that where others are going to actually, you know what, what Leroy said, I understand where he's coming from there when he said that.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, man. You know,
Yeah.
to talk, man. Just talk. Just
Yeah.
open up
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
speak and let it out, man.
Yeah.
Let it out.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I seem to say this for everyone because every conversation that we have is just so impactful. I would love you to come back on again.
Yeah,
Okay.
my pleasure.
And we can take a deeper dive into other areas as divorce. It's a big thing right now, you know, so we can deep dive into those areas. But I like to end on this note. It's called a little quick fire round.
Okay.
All right. So tea or coffee?
Hot chocolate.
Oh, why did you have to do that, man?
I like tea or coffee.
Oh, okay. I should have worked that one out, man. You know, tea, coffee, or chocolate.
There you go.
Okay, sorry. All right. Films or books?
A good movie.
A good movie. DC Comics, right?
Yeah, or Marvel.
All right. Cats or dogs?
Don't like either.
You're supposed to be working with me on this, you know, brother.
I know. I don't do cats or dogs. I don't want to lie to people.
All right. I'm going to hit you with this one then. Reggae or soul?
Soul.
Oh, I hope Sandra didn't hear that.
She knows. I told you at the beginning, we're so different. She's into reggae. I'm into soul.
Okay. All right. Last one then. Night owl or morning person?
I'm a night owl.
Okay. Interesting.
For whatever reason, I love the night. I can go to bed late, but also then get up early.
Okay. Do you find it peaceful?
Yeah, but I also love sunrise.
Oh,
which is interesting.
Okay.
Which is interesting. Yeah, but
excellent.
If my choice would be to a night owl every time.
Brilliant, man. Excellent. Okay. Well, listen, brother. Again, this conversation has been rich and impactful. We've waited so long to do this, and I'm glad we've done it now. And I know that this won't be the first and one and only time that we do it.
No.
You know, so let's make sure that we can book another time where we can come on and talk about, like I said, those other areas, man, that we haven't even touched on today that are important for other men. Definitely. One last question. If people want to find you, because you've spoken about your services and so on, how can they find you?
Yeah, I must think about social media, but the moment I haven't. I'll have to speak to my daughters who know more about that than I do, so I should get them involved.
Brilliant, man. Excellent. Well, brother, once again, I thank you so much for coming on.
My
and
pleasure. Thank you for inviting
your
me.
wisdom is just amazing, man. Love it.
Thank you.
Love it. God bless, brother.